Whew, that was fun. Please let me know how this sounds. This is new development. All right, let's do a quick 15-minute hang here. If you, I'm sure you did, you watched UFC 250. That's why you would click on a thing that says UFC 250 after the hostilities. Amanda Nunes, Cody Garbrandt, Suga Sean O'Malley. We'll discuss a bunch of different things, but those are the things I want to chat about. I don't know if you noticed, apparently Conor McGregor just retired again. So maybe we'll talk about that. People will have thoughts, people will have questions. Q&A, happy to discuss anything. It's fun. I just wrapped up work, took my suit off. It's fun to wear a suit and go into Sports Center and talk about, you know, some of the details of that kind of stuff. It's fun, man. It's a fun job. I'm very thankful that I get to do that. But it's also fun to just come and kind of do a brain dump here with you guys. So there's a few questions here, and I apologize. My vision's been degrading over the last 6 months or so I can't quite read them. I'll do my best, though. So let's talk about a couple of things. Cody Garbrandt, Suga Sean, loved both of those performances. I really like Cody. I've always enjoyed chatting with him. I've enjoyed analyzing his work. I was really, really excited to see him look so good. Let's talk just about those two finishes. So Cody drops down. As you're dropping down, there's a number of things happening, but the plus side of what's going on right there is, just picture this. And I'll just do this for you. I hope I'm not wrecking my table here. As you drop, what's happening? We're loaded into our legs, right? You know, like a squat or a deadlift. We are loaded into our legs, which is partly why that shot looked so fucking crazy, is because the loading down into the legs. Now, that's not necessarily the only purpose there. The drop under, the watch, the make him miss, to draw him in, to make him consider, he should consider the fact that me, Cody, might want to grab him or take him down. There's a lot of different reasons for that. But one of the byproducts of that low crouch that Cody did is it loads into the legs. The legs now can explode. Something called a kinetic chain or a kinetic arc. It's whenever you do anything with your body. Imagine, and of course a punch is a very simple one to understand, but think of something like, say, a shot put. You know, you are using a particular connected part of the biology. Your legs are attached to the ground, your feet are on the ground, you're using it to connect and express energy up through an arc of the body. In this case, an arc of the punch. From the foot through the core, through the body, and expressed out there. Squatting down into it, of course, makes it all the more fucking dastardly, which is why it was so cool. But Cody looked fantastic, moving beautifully, super patient. You know, he's at his best when he gets into that range where he can hit you. You know what else that range is? You can hit him. That's fighting. But to stay outside of it and start to destroy the legs, especially the lower legs, what does that do? It forces the other guy to come in. So you're at distance and I'm kicking your calves or your legs, or you low down on the leg. You have two choices. Think about what your choices are. Move away where you have nothing, or stay there. I'm sorry, I can't quite read that. Move away where you do nothing, or stay there where I smash your legs, or move in. And when I get you to move in, if I'm the one wanting you to move in, that way Cody doesn't have to enter the distance. He can kick the leg and make you enter the distance he wants. So it was really I was happy for that guy. He's a good dude and a good martial artist. And, you know, to watch, we're studying not just punches and kicks, but we're studying a journey of learning and growing. And, you know, as he said, you're a 25-year-old kid, you're a world champion on top of the world, and then you're losing, you're uncertain, and you're like, that journey is a really powerful one. So I was happy to see him. Then Suga Sean, very different knockout. It was interesting because people are starting to clue into the idea and understand that the audience can grasp these things. Not that long ago, you would talk to people in broadcasting and you do a job like mine, they'd be like, they wouldn't maybe use the words dumb it down, but that's what they were trying to tell you to do. So when Suga Sean sets up that punch, Dan and Joe were talking about it, and they mentioned that he's, you know, show of flashing something else, and they connected the idea that part of what made it work is these little fake shots. You have to explain, or my job in this type of setting is to explain why that works. So there's two main things that happen when you feint something. I make you think it's real, and then you react. I make you react in a way that I want you to. For example, if I wanted to kick you in the head here, I might throw a punch, your head would move that way, and then I would kick you in the head. So by getting you to bite or to believe it or to react to it, you move out and I make you do something. The other way, and this is what Sean did, I make you dismiss my movements. You know full well this is bullshit. You know full well this is bullshit. You see it. Eddie Wineland is a massively experienced fighter. He can see that Sean is just bullshitting him. But what happens is, if I bullshit you, you ignore what you see. And Sean, ignore bullshit, bullshit, real. And so you start to ignore the whole phrase. Punching happens, or kicking, or striking, or moving, or grabbing, or fighting happens in phrases, almost like a chord progression. I'll play a C, G, E, or a C, G, D, right? And that's this, fake, fake, real. But you start to think the whole phrase is fake. And to make it better, in ways that are not as concise as how Sean did it, it'd be fake, fake, real. Sean's like, fake, fake, feels fake, but it's real, right? So by expressing that punch, not throwing it or firing it, he expressed that punch. He allowed the punch to happen. And it sounds philosophical and metaphysical, but it's true. When you go and try to do yoga or any of these things and try to force your way into the position, or just try to let the position happen. This is a way that the human body works, and it's a way that the mind makes the human body work. So that's what Sean did. Fake, obvious fake, you know it's a fake, so you're ignoring it. Another fake, you know it's a fake. And real, that is so non-committal and not biting down. Like the difference between, and take these two, if you have recorded it, or you have access to watch it again, if you bought the pay-per-view online, you can look at those two knockouts, both beautiful. What do you like better, country music or classical music, right? What do you like better, a Bordeaux or a Chablis or whatever, Do you like chocolate or potato chips? They're two brilliant knockouts, but they're very different. Cody's is an athlete's, movement created through a lifetime of athletics, and Sean's is a stoner artist's movement, right? Stoner artist movement, and boom, you're out. And they were wonderful. Both were wonderful. Of course, Amanda Nunes, almost less to talk about in a way, because what you see is just a massive disparity in skill, experience, elite athleticism, all of those things. So when you see that big of a disparity, there's not that much to talk about, because, if Michael Jordan plays pickup basketball with me, are you really going to rave about how great Michael Jordan is? No. Are you going to talk about how much I suck at basketball? You could, but that's not really the point. The point is how different we are. I'm a regular person holding a basketball with no real connection to it. Michael Jordan, it's an extension of him, right? That's what you saw. That's what you saw, and that's no knock against Felicia Spencer. And of course, there's a million things that happen in fighting, as in any kind of performance and any kind of thing. And one of those is you don't get to pick what you show. But there's always something that you could show. And Felicia Spencer showed heart, and toughness, and grit, and will. And that's very inspiring, right? It's very, very inspiring. So we got to see that. But it's just so different, One is, like I said, if you play golf with Tiger Woods and he destroys you, and I'm not comparing you, if you don't golf, to Felicia Spencer, who is a professional athlete, or me playing basketball to Felicia Spencer, but even though she's an elite professional athlete, there's her, and then there's this other level that is achieved. So there's less to talk about other than to marvel at how high of a level Amanda Nunes, how ultra professional she is to go in there and be able to perform at that level even, and to never start, I don't like to knock John Jones, and I don't sort of intend to, but when you watch John, what's happening is like people are getting a little closer to him. Still not him. Still not as good as him. But how is that happening? He's so good and they're so down here. Now, are they getting better? Is he getting better? Maybe he's getting a little better and they're getting a lot better, and that distance is closing. You know, the connection to the game that he had is not unique to him anymore. Others have it. He's still beating them all, and hopefully for him and people who love him and fans of him, he'll keep doing that. But Amanda's still pulling away, still adding skills, still getting better. Because that's what this is, right? What's so great about fighting? I mean, it's fun, lots of cool stuff, right? You know, what's cooler than this? You know, I can't think of anything. But I think the deepest beauty in there is watching growth. If you study Cody Garbrandt, and not just study how that punch was thrown, or, you know, what he did in that last second buzzer beater walk off, those are all cool things. But watch his path. World champion, 25, undefeated, the world's his oyster. Life goes to shit. Couple losses, and all of a sudden the whole thing becomes, it's very fragile. And then with the realization that you're not unbeatable, the world is fragile, everything you have can be taken away, you still go in and rebuild. That's fucking beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. And so these are the things you can learn from it. You know, you and I will never necessarily be the greatest ever at something, and that's okay. I hope by the time I'm 70 that maybe I'm one of the, I've made breakthroughs in my field, but it's a long way to go to do that, and I may never do it. So we can take something from Felicia Spencer. You look and you go, hey, listen, I didn't lose to the greatest ever. Well, you did. That happened, but that's not the definitive part of what happened here. Conor just retired. I'll talk about that before we sign off. The definitive part of what happened is, through, you know, a lifetime of effort, you got fucking close to the top. You know how rare that is? And then when you get there, it's really pretty fucking amazing if you, in your life, you get to be the 19th best on planet Earth at something. It's fucking amazing. You're striving to win the title and really, truly chasing it, and coming up short gets you to almost there. That's, I mean, most people accomplish nothing in their life. You get to that point. This is wonderful. You've shown who you are. You've been able to be there and taste it. You know, not everybody's going to be the world champion of something. Not everybody's going to like be a billionaire. Not everybody's going to be a famous fucking actor or whatever it is we dream of. But by chasing it and getting and failing, when you realize you can't quite get there, and you stop and you go, look where I am. Holy shit, I'm a professional athlete fighting in the greatest fighters in the world. And I got beat up, but I showed my heart to everybody. It's pretty fucking incredible, right? You can take that away from a fight like that. And I'm going to think about how to do it tomorrow, because I can't use that footage, but maybe a way that I can show how beautifully different Cody Garbrandt and Suga Sean's knockouts were. And I'll figure out a way to do that tomorrow morning as a short piece for my @RobinBlack Martial Arts on Instagram and @RobinBlack MMA on Twitter. Last thing, Conor McGregor has apparently retired again, right? It's on Twitter. So what's that about? I think we all know, right? Like, you know, Triple C, is that his name? Whatever. What's his name again? I'm really tired. Apologize. Yeah, that guy, Triple C. Champ, and Olympic champ. He said, I'm not fighting anymore. Somebody said probably a publicity stunt. Disagree. Triple C said, I'm not fighting anymore because he's not paid enough. Jorge Masvidal said, hey, listen, man, if you don't want to pay me, release me. Because he's not paid enough. John Jones is saying, hey, man, pay me. Because he's not paid enough. And Conor McGregor is probably saying, I retire because he's not paid enough. Let me just tell you guys this from, you know, studying how because fighting is a negotiation, right? So to understand some of the strategies of fighting. You study negotiating, you study war games, you study strategy, you study, there's a million things you should probably study to find different ways to look at it. But I've studied negotiation to a degree. If you say, I will walk away from this if you don't give me X, you must be serious. It cannot, and Conor knows this, it cannot be a play. You must mean it, and it must be real. Because if it's real, and really real, then you'll walk away. If they know it's real, and it must be, it can't be faked, you must really be willing, they will, if they can't let you walk away, they'll come back and try to find a way to come to a closer, fair amount. I was talking about this at my job on SportsCenter. Jorge, Triple C, John Jones, Conor McGregor, money, all of this. We're talking union this and 18% of revenue that, and the NBA 50%, all these fucking talking points. Fuck all that. The only talking point that matters is these people, men and women, young men and women, and men and women in their 40s as well, they take damage. Damage to their bodies, damage to their brains. Because, one, they love what they're doing. They were put on earth to fight, right? And there's a beauty in it. There's an incredible beauty in going in and testing yourself in that way. But it's also their job. This is what I do for a living, and I fucking love it. But it is also my job, I'd love to have children still. And I'd like to pay for them. And I'd like to pay for their life. This is how I do that. You know how much brain damage I take doing this job? Pretty close to zero. They're in that same boat, but they will take irreparable brain damage. It's not something we talk about a great deal. It's not something we found the right way to talk about, and I'm certainly not against it. I love fighting. I loved my 9 professional fights. I wanted to have more. I think we live in a free society where if you understand the dangers that you are putting yourself in for love or for money and a job, whether you work in a mine or you fight in a cage, if you understand the risks to your health and you choose to do it, I think that's a wonderful thing about a free society. Having said that, so they hopefully, all of these young men and women know the risks and choose to do it anyways, and I support them on it because I understand the incredible purpose that fighting gives you and the incredible beauty that is in the experience of fighting. It's wonderful. It changes you forever. I'm a very happy man with a very good life, and I owe a lot of that to the journey of fighting. I also have sustained damage to my body and my brain that will affect my future. I understood that trade-off, and I chose to do it. And I endorse and support anyone that chooses to do that. But fucking pay them. Pay them. It's very difficult to be discussing not paying somebody to take damage. If your company was not doing well, and they wanted to do it, and you wanted to give them the chance to do it, and let's let these guys fight and make it great. But you sold that fucking thing for $4 billion, right? For $4 billion. Some of these guys made $24,000 tonight. That's not okay, right? And we're seeing a time right now in modern history where people are feeling empowered to rise up against injustices. That's the era we're living in. And John Jones, Jorge Masvidal, Triple C, Conor McGregor, they're saying, wait a second, you guys don't fucking fight. You book things and book flights and rent arenas and buy ads, and all of that's great. But we think we should get 50% of the money. And basketball, football, baseball, hockey, all of those have agreed that that's how it should work. So we want it. And that's why Conor McGregor said, and like I said, if he says, I am retired unless you pay me, he has to really mean it. And there's people popping up in here, Jorge was not even a champ and all. None of that matters. if you were dramatically, you and every single one of people, someone who did what you do, was dramatically underpaid, we wouldn't be sitting there going, yeah, but that guy's a photocopy guy. Yeah, but that guy actually is only the vice president. Like, we wouldn't be discussing nonsense about it. We'd be like, wait a second, everyone who does what you do is dramatically underpaid by about, instead of 50% of revenue, they get 17 or 18%. That's absurd. We wouldn't sit there arguing, remove the narratives, remove the quotes and the sound bites and the buzz things and the politics and how you've been indoctrinated by whatever news you watch about how you should be quiet and be happy to get what you get and whatever. Just put all that aside and say people are becoming billionaires off of these people fighting, and they are underpaid, all of them. And that's what's happening. Doesn't mean that me saying this doesn't mean anything. We're just hanging. We're just people talking. But it came up my job. I work for the broadcast partner of the UFC. And we had it on TV as a partner. And when Conor's tweet came up, and of course we had to discuss it. Because you know what you can't do? You can't have the Financial Times, fucking Forbes, and 420.fighting.net and whatever, all discussing it, and then us not, because we still are a sports and news channel. Just because we're partners, we seem complicit, so we have to discuss it, and we should, and we did, and ESPN will be doing the same, and this is all part of a snowball, and things will change, and Conor will affect it, because he's got enough leverage. Jorge Masvidal is a star. Jon Jones is a star. Triple C maybe less so. Although I love that little character. And fucking the dude can fight. He can fight. Agree with your take, Robin. I wish they all got more money. Thank you. I don't think this is a take. I don't think this is like Robin's take. I think it's like they're being dramatically underpaid in a world where a company became super wealthy based on the work that they've done that caused them permanent damage. I don't think that's some crazy take. I think we all know it. The only ones of us who don't know it are maybe drilled, indoctrinated with some quite, highly structured ideas. Anyways, this conversation is going to be going on everywhere. If you're on the wrong side of it, if you find yourself, and there's a lot of being on the wrong side going on all over the world right now, in all kinds of people standing up for what they believe in, don't be on the wrong side of this. Don't find yourself sitting there arguing whether or not Masvidal deserves this money or whether Jon Jones, whatever. They do, right? They do. Don't find yourself on the wrong side of that. Try not to, because it doesn't make any sense. Because if you were working at any job, construction, art, you were a doctor, you were on the front line of something, most of us would stand up for you and say, hey, this guy should make more money, or this woman, these people should make more money. Most of us would, because we're all underpaid. And don't let that influence you either, because Jon Jones made $4 million. That should be enough. It shouldn't be enough, because the pie that he generates and they generate is so big, and the overhead and the cost, there are 600 employees or 800 employees or 399 employees. There's buildings, multiple buildings all over the world. Wait a second, if you can do all of that stuff, maybe tone down a expansion into China to pay the guys who are taking permanent brain damage, right? Again, I don't feel like I'm talking out of turn here or having some extreme idea. I think we all kind of know this, right? I think we all inherently know this. So that's what Conor McGregor is probably standing up doing. When you add him to a bunch of other ones that are all doing it simultaneously, maybe there will be some kind of change, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's so. Anyways, thanks guys. It's been a lot of fun. I will try to do something where I find a way to compare Yeah, some fighters in UFC are still working for part-time jobs. Yeah, can you imagine that? You're a professional athlete, and you're loading on the docks for 6 hours a day and training twice a day to make $14,000 because you have hopes of one day being a world champion. And then, you know, it's not right, right? We all know it's not right. But of course, it's a weird time. It's a weird time to be going to the company, even if you're dramatically underpaid by what everyone knows you should be paid. It's easier to go during a time where it's like, hey, look, we're all rich, than it is going to a time it's like, ooh, the world's real scary and there's no money coming in arenas or whatever. But that's not your problem if you're a dramatically underpaid person in the business of taking brain damage to entertain people to make the company money. That's not your problem. But this is more than I normally talk about these kinds of things because I'm much more interested in the art, the martial arts, the fighting, This matters to me because I love these artists, and I appreciate them, I put this thing out because I'm proud of it, but it's also, I was a small-time Canadian champion in a very small MMA organization, very small, and I fought at a very low level, but I did fight. I trained and I fought and I lived the way they live for 5, 6, 7 years, living in there, training twice a day, making no money. And I was around the best of the best, Mark Hominick and, Claude Patrick and Sam Stout and all of these guys coming up. And, the greats that nobody may remember ever, Joe Dirksen from Winnipeg and all these guys. And, most of them they don't have money. And right now, when this thing is booming and there are billionaires being made, they should get money. So I care. It matters to me. That's why I'm going more on this than I normally would, because normally it's just the fights that matter. I wanted to ask if it's okay to do weightlifting. Weightlifting is always okay. So I didn't catch the rest of it. I apologize for my vision. It's also late, but this has been a lot of fun. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. It's very, very kind. And I appreciate it greatly. Being able to dump thoughts and express ideas like this makes me a better commentator and analyst, and it's fun. And I'm grateful. Much love. Blackout.